Hey guys, and welcome to part 7 of the shader writing tutorial on unitycookie.com. Now in this video we're going to take a look at rim lighting in Unity. So to do this, to explain what rim lighting is, if you missed it at the start of the series, I'm just going to grab the body and we're going to put on the original one. There we go. So what rim lighting is it's just a bit of light that goes around the edges there. Now when working with rim lighting, chances are we're going to come across a few errors. There always seems to be errors in working with these because we start working with something called the view dir, which takes the view angle and uses that to create these outlines. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump up in Photoshop here, and if I just create a new layer here, like so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a sphere. So something like that. Alright, so there is our sphere. Oops. Okay, so this sphere has a lot of normals coming off it. And these normals go out like that. All the way around the sphere. Okay, and let's say that over here we have our camera, or our eye, whatever you want to, so say we have an eye. You go, eye. Okay, I'm a horrible drawer, but there we go, looks eye-like enough. Okay, now we're looking at this sphere at this angle. Being a flat screen, we get a flat output. So, yeah, we look at it like this, and what we're getting is we come across here, and we want a value from 0 to 1. So, we want to come in here, and we want to say, you know, if it's facing directly towards us, we have 1. If it's facing perpendicular, we have a 0. If it's facing away from us, we will have this one here will be a -1, and down here we'll have 0. So as you can see, it goes 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, and then -0.2, -0.4, etc. And it does the same around here as well, 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8. These are the values we want to get. And this is what the view dir does. Takes what is called a dot product. Now, a dot product is what gives us these 1, 0 values. So our light ray, or our view ray, comes into here. So if I just grab another color here, just bring that down a little. Okay. So we have a ray that comes in here. Now it's hitting directly at 1. So it goes in and it comes back. And this is a value of 1. However, if we have a ray coming in here, it's going to end up going out that way. So this ray has a value of 0.2. And we want to use this to control lighting around our object, to get that rim light. Now there's a lot of information on this on the shader wikis and such online. If you also look at Fresnel, spelled Fresnel, or facing ratio, these are the things that we are looking for. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. Just give you a bit of a extra boost as to what this is actually doing. I'll try and explain it further as we go, as the dot product is certainly something that takes a little bit to get your head around. Okay, so let's grab our lesson 6b. Let's just grab lesson 6, duplicate that one, just so it automatically names it to lesson 7. There we go. Alright, so we're going to open this one up in Monodevelop. And this isn't quite what we want. We want to let's just use the Lambert model, and we're not going to use any of this reflections. So what we will actually do is I want to write this from scratch again. This is really good practice to write things from scratch. I would recommend actually writing this from scratch, every one of these videos, but that just takes up extra time. So let's just do it in this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to write shader, and we're going to call this one here Unity Cookie / rim lighting. Okay, so within this, we know we want to have our properties. We also want to have our sub shader and our fallback. Okay, so within our sub shader, of course, we start with our tags. This is going to be render type equals opaque, because we wanted an opaque one. We're going to be using the CG program language. So we tell Unity, start processing a CG program here, stop processing CG program here. And with that CG program, we need our pragma. So we need to define some core surface properties. So we're going to say this is a surface shader using the Lambert lighting model. With that, we need a struct input to get all our things from. And we need a void surf. Input in out, surface output O, and there is the base structure for our shader. So let's start filling this out a little. Some properties that we need. We need to have main text, diffuse texture, (2D). This is going to be our main diffuse texture. And we want to have it as a white starting value. Now we come in and we write bump text. And I'm going to call this one here normal map. This is also going to be a 2D image. And we're going to start this one off as a bump. And make sure I close those quotation marks. There's a couple more we need. We want to have rim color and rim power. So rim color is going to be, we're going to call it rim color, so it's nice and easy to see. I'm going to give it a color. Equals 1, 1, 1, 1. So we're going to start it off as white. Now we need another one called rim power. This is going to be called room power. This is going to be a range, and we're going to make this range between 0.1 and 10, and let's go to a starting point of 3.0, and that will be our power. Okay, so with that there sorted, that's all of our input properties. Nothing too difficult at the moment. We need to grab some inputs. So, of course, we're going to have our float to UV main text. Now you can create your bump text as well. I'm just going to use the same main text for this one. We're also going to grab a float 3 view dir. And what this one does is it takes the vector of our view direction. So you saw over here, this is a vector coming into the sphere. Turn that one off. Alright, so our vector comes into the sphere, and this is our view direction. So we want to get our view direction and dot product it with our normals to get this 1 to 0 value. So it's going to get a little bit confusing in a moment, but try and bear with me on this one. Okay. So we need to come in and sampler 2D our main text, sampler 2D our bump text. We need to define a float for our rim color, because it's a RGBA value, and a float for our rim power. Okay, so that all makes sense so far. I hope this view direction is making sense, because we're going to use that quite extensively soon. Just save that. Let's go O dot albedo. So we're going to define our color is going to be our text 2D. And we're going to grab our plain text based off the in.uv main text .rgb, our o.normal. We are going to unpack our normals. So we're going to grab those vectors from our image. And this one here is going to be, once again, a text 2D bump text in.uv main text. So I just want to use the one we've already got. Okay, so with those normals, we need to now do a dot product. So to do this, I'm going to create a half value. It's going to be half rim. And for this one here, we want to grab the dot product. So that's that 0 to 1 value of the two values. And we're going to take in.viewDir, and we're going to use o.normal. So we're taking our dot product between viewDir and normal. So when the normals are facing completely away from us, 0. When it's facing towards us, it's 1. Okay, we're going to work a little bit more on this in a sec, but for now we're going to move on and grab the o.emission. So they're just coloring our emission without relevance to shading and such. So we're going to grab our rim color.rgb, and we're going to multiply this by the power of rim to the power of rim power. So effectively, what this is doing is when we have a power, it's going to say 2 times 3 to the power of 4 is the same as saying 2 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. That's what the power means. Okay, so we have that. Now we're going to work on this in a second. We're going to, didn't realize we could zoom in. Okay, so I'm going to work on this half room in a second. It's not complete, but I'm just going to preview this in Unity. So we load that up now. Alright, so it's compiled fine. We need to grab our, just minimize those. Okay, so we have our Unity cookie room lighting. And we have on the body, we're going to grab the same one. Unity cookie room lighting. And you see that's given us some really shiny effect there, which is not what we want, is it? And so on that head, we grab the head one. You can see it's not doing anything because it was black. Make that white. Here we go. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice is it's doing the opposite of what we want. So to fix this, what we do is we go half room equals 1 minus dot product. And this will invert it. Come back into Unity now. You can see it's now inverted it and we're getting that room lighting. However, there is a couple of precautions that we're going to have to do. So we come over to this one. What we want to do is we want to normalize our view direction and saturate our dot product. Okay, so it's a little bit confusing as to what saturate and normalize does, but effectively normalize makes sure that it removes any values less than 0, and saturate makes sure that the value stays between -1 and 1. So effectively what we're doing is we only want it between 0 and 1. That's what these are going to do. So first off, let's grab our in.viewDir, and we want to normalize this. Normalize our viewDir, and let's saturate our dot product. Okay, so there, I think. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. It gets a little bit confusing by this stage, but we want to normalize the viewDir because as you saw over here, we could get all these negative values. It goes 1, it goes 0, -1. If you have normals facing the wrong way, we don't want that. And then we want to saturate it, make sure it's only between 0 and 1. Because, you shouldn't get any values more than 1, but if you do, it's best to control that. Okay, so let's grab, which one do I want? I want Unity. Okay, and there we go. And you can see it's looking much nicer now. We grab our robot body. See, we can adjust that one there. Now you probably remember that I had some more controls on it in the one at the start of the series, and that was just because I set up a few extra little bits in it. Like I gave it some clamp features and such, just to show you a slightly more technical shader. Okay, so we've written a shader using room lighting. So just to bring back the shader we had before, if I just come back to characters robot, this shader isn't perfect, by the way, it's actually broken because of that. But yeah, those were the extra controls that I had before. So the contrast level is the one that's broken at the moment because I know what the problem is. It's just I haven't subtracted and added enough. But yeah. That's not what this tutorial is on. So, yeah, we've got our room lighting. And that is it.